Welcome to part 4 of our Canadian adventure. In this episode, we'll leave King's Landing, head down to Chamcook in New Brunswick on the Bay of Fundy, then across to Shediac, and finally over the bridge to Prince Edward Island. Our journey starts with the relatively short hop from King's Landing to Chamcook. Chamcook is a tiny hamlet near to the beautiful coastal town of St Andrews. Canadian generosity is unbounded, and we've been invited to stay at the lovely home of Simon and Elaine. Simon is an old friend of Pip's and is godfather to our son Mark. Our visit started with a cup of tea on the deck, and this was the view that greeted us. And it became even more beautiful as the sun started setting. Okay, so do you want to give us a little spiel?
Yeah, this is our accommodation here tonight at Simon's. It's Mark's godfather.
Mark's godfather, so.
And we've got this whole suite.
Bed, kitchen, huge bed, kitchen. There, refrigerator. Sorry to pan around so quick. Bathroom with, I think, a football team shower. And
the view
most
from the window. View from the bed.
Emphatically, if I go over here, this is the view. Next morning we explored the local area with Simon and Elaine, starting with Minister's Island before moving on to the town of St Andrews itself. The island is very significant to the First Nations people. However, it is called Minister's Island because the first white settler there was a Reverend Samuel Andrews, who built a house in 1790. There is a shell causeway that links the mainland to the island, so you can get there by vehicle twice a day. St Andrews really is beautiful. It's a National Historic Site of Canada, as it bears many characteristics of a typical 18th century British colonial settlement. Ironically, the town was given its current name by a French missionary who landed on St Andrew's Day. I guess maybe because it's on the east coast, there was a definite New England feel about St Andrews. Canadians might not like me saying that just at the moment. I was not surprised to hear that St Andrews was a really popular tourist attraction in the 19th century for people from Boston. Sadly, our time with Simon and Elaine was coming to an end. We had coffee in town and then lunch back at the house, before saying our goodbyes and setting off for Shediac. It was my turn at the wheel today, and I drove the 267 kilometres or 166 miles past St John, New Brunswick and Moncton, finishing on the Gulf of St Lawrence at the beautiful Lobster Capital of the world, Shediac. We dumped our bags at the hotel and headed straight for the beach. You might have guessed that after a couple of days of low temperature, we were now back in the mid-20s. Shediac is a really small town, only about 7,500 people. Apart from producing a few famous hockey players and the man who invented the crossword game, a forerunner to Scrabble, it is most noted for being the lobster capital of the world. This lobster statue, weighing 90 tons, is probably its most famous tourist attraction. Pip's lobster appetite sated, the next morning we left Shediac and headed for the Confederation Bridge and our journey to Prince Edward Island. So that I could fully enjoy the 13-kilometre expanse of the Confederation Bridge, Pip drove the 107 kilometres from Shediac to Summerside on Prince Edward Island. In the next few video clips we try to capture the experience of going over the Confederation Bridge, which links New Brunswick to Prince Edward Island. Construction started in 1994 and it was opened in 1997. Before the bridge was completed, the only way that you could get to or leave the island was by ferry. The bridge was built deliberately with a curve and a hump. This was to ensure that drivers paid attention when they were crossing, rather than being distracted by the scenery. So our first stop was in Summerside, and despite its touristy sounding name, it was quite clear from the working buildings on the waterfront that this was very much a fishing stroke lobster town. Fully rested with my lungs suitably expanded, we popped across the road to a farmer's market. I think this supplier might want to sack their marketing team. After the farmer's market, we go in search of the most famous export from Prince Edward Island, Anne of Green Gables. This really famous novel, which has now sold over 50 million copies around the world, was written by Lucy Maud Montgomery. There are several places linked to Ellen Montgomery across the island. This first one is actually her auntie's house, and the place where in April 1911 she married. In the Anne of Green Gables novel, Montgomery refers to a lake of shining waters. We took this picture from just outside Campbell's farm, and this is Park Corner Pond, the inspiration for the lake. A bit out of order, I know, but our next stop was Lucy Montgomery's birthplace. This modest little house stands on a junction in New London, Prince Edward Island. Lucy only lived here for a couple of years and moved in with her grandparents when her mother died. The sharp-eyed amongst you might have spotted an advert for beaver tails when we were in Toronto. Well, this is a beaver tail.
And it was really delicious.
Some of you will know that Pip and I were both brought up in East Devon, where the land, particularly where it meets the sea, is a beautiful red colour. The same is true on Prince Edward Island. so we both felt really at home. Our Anne of Green Gables odyssey continued with a visit to the Green Gables Heritage Place. As well as finding a modern information centre, we found the old McNeil's house, cousins of Lucy Maud Montgomery and the inspiration for Green Gables. Ironically, the original house did not have green gables, and these were only painted on in the early 30s. Lucy was clearly a regular visitor to the house, and in her book Anne of Green Gables, she writes about Lover's Lane. This path was the inspiration. Having pretty much learnt all there was to learn about Anne of Green Gables, we left Cavendish and dropped down south to Charlottetown, the capital of Prince Edward Island, and our hotel. The hotel was beautiful, really gothic looking, and in a fantastic location just off the harbour. We dropped our bags and set off immediately to explore Charlottetown. Whilst walking, we noticed this sign, and we were intrigued at exactly what this would mean the following day. To prepare for whatever farm day in the city would bring, that night we had a hearty meal, with Pip having her first whole lobster of the trip.
It was so good. So?
Are you on?
Yeah. No, okay. You're on.
I'm on. Good morning. Welcome to Charlottetown, which is a kind of capital, I guess, of Prince.
No exclamation mark or whatever they are needed. It is the capital.
It is the capital
of
Prince Edward Island. And it's Sunday the 5th of October, and we have chosen just by chance to be here on the day that the farmers come to town. So the whole of the main street, if you look around, has been dedicated to market stores, farm produce, and so on.
It's called Farm in the City.
Farm in the City.
We're going to go and see what it's all about. And it's a gorgeous, gorgeous sunny day.
St. John's where all the girls are dancing, heave away, and the jolly boys we're all down the way.
Farm in the City Day was drawing to a close, so we set off to explore more of Charlottetown. While you enjoy the sights of Charlottetown, just a bit of Canadian history. Prior to July 1867, most of Canada was made up of 3 different provinces. These were Canada, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. Negotiations between these 3 territories led to the British North America Act, which was signed on the 1st of July 1867. The larger Canada was born. At that time, Prince Edward Island was not part of the Confederation, and other provinces like Manitoba and the Northwest Territories did not join until 1871. There was still some resistance on Prince Edward Island to joining the Confederation. However, a group of politicians were determined to make it happen. One significant father of Confederation was William Henry Pope. In an early meeting with Canadian delegates in 1864, he even took a small boat across to greet them. It is that act that this statue represents. Remarkably, at the 1864 conference, there were two politicians with the same name of John Hamilton Gray. In this statue you can see them both debating the benefits of Confederation. It was another 9 years before Prince Edward Island finally became part of the Confederation of Canada. Not tempted by the lure of Brits fish and chips, that night we ate in an amazing pub. Pip had probably her 5th or 6th bowl of chowder, whilst under our feet were the vats of its own brewery. The next day the sun was shining and it was 26 degrees. Pip wanted to show me a beach that she used to take the children to when they holidayed in Prince Edward Island years ago. Say hello to the beautiful Stanhope beach.
The day we visited Stanhope Beach, October the 6th, the temperature reached 28.6 degrees. This broke the previous record, which was set in 1922.
Are you having a nice time, sweetie?
Oh, well, I'm at the beach. Why wouldn't I be? And it's gorgeous. Oh my gosh, it's so warm today.
And the other thing is, we're the only people at the beach.
Yeah. Brilliant. What else would you do on a hot day on the beach but go in for a swim, even if it was October?
Our visit to the beach was our last full day on Prince Edward Island, and the next day we would take the Northumberland ferry to Nova Scotia. Join us then.